Namir bukmak palandaga yolngo bukuru pandumalain bukmak dipalwangal kiral kal kamar ngamatin yolngo alal dolangoy ngaramar ngamatin ka yolngo al dolango nakon gombro ngamatin numalang mulukro yolngo ngapagi barkung gwat marali bulun numalang gombro ngamatin dipal wangal anam len wanyang numayan go gwatman kabulon malang marang amatin dipong iral kangor ngana kangor wangangor mulukangor romngor karom do mulukai marang amatin kakal ki kungal malang irali marang mato darangan rom dial kamay kit rom go yolngo. Good morning bookmark, that's what I meant. Welcome to Anam land, welcome to Yolngo land, welcome to our sovereign nation. This morning, I want to tell you some stories about education. This first story is my own story about education. I grew up living on my mother's country and my father's country until the age of about 10. My education began through a Yolngo school system. I was taught by my kin and I was learning about the world from Yolngo perspective and many Yolngo concepts. By 10 years old, I asked my parents that I wanted to go to school in Guyula. Initially, I was placed in year 7 because of my age, but because I did not understand English, I was moved down to year 1. There were many children laughing at me because I did not understand English. The year 1 teachers explained concepts in my language, and as an intelligent 10-year-old, I quickly mastered these concepts that were explained in my first language. When I moved back to the classroom of children my own age, I quickly surpassed their ability. I waved goodbye to those children who had laughed at me as I moved up several grades quickly, very quickly, and eventually chosen to attend Diploma College right here with all the high achieving students. There are 2 important reasons that I achieved good outcomes in school rather. Firstly, I was immersed in Yolngo education until the age of 10, when I was intellectually capable of understanding another worldview and was strong in my Yolngo identity. Secondly, I achieved at school because I was sent back to grade 1, where Western concepts were clearly explained to me in my first language. Another story from later in my life, I was training to become an airline pilot. I found myself following 2 paths. One path was a Balanda life of studying to become an airline pilot. The other path was about learning my Yolngo education, songlines, rom, manikai, paintings. The law and knowledge that would contribute to my becoming a leader. But these paths were not traveling side by side. They were traveling off in different directions, and the gap between them was growing wider and wider. I became like a dog running between 2 masters, from one path to another and back again. Eventually, I had to come back to the path of Yolngu education and leave my pilot life behind because the gap had grown too wide and I needed to continue learning a Yolngu way of life. The law and the land, to sit with my elders and receive the knowledge. I did not choose to live both lives. On my western path, I could have become an international airline pilot for Qantas. But instead, from the age of 25, I returned to my country to study Yolngu law, and it was many years of learning before I left Arnhem Land again to teach at Charlestown University in Yolngu Studies. The experience gave me great insight into the Western school experience. As the member for Nhulunbuy and a leader, Yolngu leader rather, I see the current education system is failing our children because it fails to close the gap by bringing two cultures and languages together. Our communities and our children cannot see the relevance of school when it does not relate to our world, our Yolngu world. We need to make school relevant and connect to our lives. Many schools are working very hard to achieve these goals, but have not been well supported and often undermined. The department's long-held assimilationist approach that is about mainstream outcomes needs to be overcome. Decisions and controls about Yolngu education needs to be given to elders and leaders who for too long have not been recognized as the true authority of Yolngu children's education. I don't mean through a few community consultations. I mean handing over authority to the Yolngu nation. The communities and the Yolngu educators, so that we can appoint our teachers and school leaders. We can appoint strong bilingual teachers. We can decide the direction of our children, of our curriculum rather, both Western and Yolngu. We can revitalize Yolngu teacher training, and we can revitalize homeland education. We would like to see Commonwealth and territory funding come directly into the region and bypass Darwin, so that Yolngu communities can decide how to allocate education spending for the region, so that Yolngu schools can work together to support excellence in education. Our schools should be filled with Yolngu educators, Yolngu leaders, and Yolngu knowledge, and we will see our children flourish. From this platform of cultural safety and strong Yolngu identity, our children can begin to learn Western concepts and then excel in two worlds with knowledge of two languages and two worldviews. We must not place our children in a position where they are torn between two paths, learning very little from either or falling into the gap. We want our children to have two ways education, two paths that travel so closely side by side that our children can walk in both paths. This is how we close the education gap. And it is time for Department of Education to step back and allow Yolngu authorities and Yolngu educators to determine our future in partnership with Balandat educators and Balandat educators who are appointed by our determination, Yolngu and Balanda, working together for our children on our country. Thank you very much.